All right, everybody. Welcome to TechLife Live. This is Retail, Retech, Reinvent, and I am your host, Dave Cherry. I appreciate everybody joining me here today. We've got a bunch of partners with TechLife, Franklin University, Tech Elevator, which is helping to provide us with Rochelle, who you guys might see, who's helping to manage and monitor this webcast for us. And then Revel IT, the awesome Randy Dean, always a huge supporter. So we appreciate all those partners with TechLife Live. We have a small but mighty crowd today, and we got a great group of panelists. So if we can, Rochelle, pop back off of the slide, and we'll go back into just the big screen here with everybody's faces. And I would love to, because this is like a nice small crowd, I'm going to encourage everybody to turn your cameras on if you like to. If you don't want to, no big deal. But we're going to have an interesting conversation with four guys who both individually and through their companies are doing really cool things with e-commerce. And we're going to talk all about e-com today. And this is going to be a really casual conversation. So I've got a handful of questions. These guys have been kept completely in the dark. They have no idea what I'm going to ask about. But also they're really happy to answer questions from me or from you guys. So anytime you guys have questions, we're not even going to use the chat. So just unmute yourself. I think everybody hopefully has that capability. We'll just kind of have a fun, lively conversation. I'm going to start, we're going to kind of go Brady Bunch style. So I'm going to start in my top left, and I'm going to ask these guys to introduce themselves and their companies really quick. So Joe, you're top left for me. So first off, Joe Vancena.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Joe Vancena. I'm the manager of product marketing at Loop Returns. We are a returns platform on Shopify. And as far as why we're excited to be here, our big philosophy is that buying online is easy, but shopping online is very hard. And the missing link is confidence. So customers don't have this confidence to shop, and returns helps, specifically exchanges helps. So we see a lot of opportunities to bridge the gap to the digital and physical world, and we're starting with returns. I'm pumped to be here and look forward to the questions that I haven't heard yet.
Cool. All right. Hey, Shea, before I can return something, I got to pay for it, right? Introduce yourself and tell everybody who hasn't heard what Klarna is.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Shea Burns. I'm head of our large retail sales team here at Klarna. Been with the company for the last 4 years. Klarna is the largest provider of pay later services in the world. And what does pay later mean? It means a lot of things, but we pride ourselves on being an end-to-end shopping platform where consumers can find merchants through our payments offering. So at the core, we offer alternative forms of payment. You've probably seen pay in 4 equal installments across a lot of the local retailers as well as retailers globally. We also offer financing, deferred payment methods, try before you buy offerings, and have a consumer app that's one of the most downloaded shopping apps in the country to date, even surpassing Amazon for a short period of time here over the holidays. So really excited to be part of the panel, and thanks for having us.
Hey, Shea, I'm actually going to start off before I get to Chris and Chase. Why 4? Why not 2, 3, or 5? Or why can't I decide as a customer how many payments I want to have?
So
behind that?
So first and foremost, pay in 4 equal installments. So it's bi-weekly over a 6-week period. It's bi-weekly because we align with a consumer's pay cycle schedule in the US. It's bi-weekly compared to a country like London and Europe and the UK, where they actually get paid on a monthly basis. So it's actually paying 3 equal installments on a monthly basis over there. But it is 4 because from a consumer standpoint, splitting up in 2 probably doesn't make much sense in terms of helping to convert. Any installment over 4 actually becomes a regulated credit product. So we have to dip into our tighter regulation policies that our financing product actually has to ensue as well. So paying 4 equal installments over a 6-week period has seemed to resonate really nicely with the consumer audience.
Cool. All right, Chris. You're founder of F-13, and that is not the latest fighter jet in the military. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what F-13 Works is.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you. And that was a good question. There's depth to the answer of 4 installments. I never knew.
I just thought that was how high Shea could count, but there's more than that.
Plus.
doing a little A/B testing. 5, 3, 4. Yeah. Yeah. So F13, we simplify online product distribution, marketplace management. So, what that looks like. Marketplaces are a big part of the future of retail e-commerce. We know Amazon is the biggest marketplace and retailer out there. And it's hard for a lot of smaller companies to do the marketplace thing, bring in third-party products, sell them on their site. We enable that. We make it really simple. And on the flip side of things, for our distributor and supplier partners, we enable them to have different sales channels to sell their products through, a bunch of different retailers' sites. So it just really helps people get their products out there, helps them own their category through having a variety of vendors on a single site. And that's what we do.
Cool. Thanks, Chris. And Chase, but before you can buy with Klarna and return with Loop, got to have some e-commerce storefront, right? So tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what Electric Eye does with that regard.
Yeah, Electric Eye builds highly optimized Shopify web stores. And then on the tail end of that, we help maintain, advertise, and market them.
Cool. All right, guys, we're going to start off with a personal question. So each of you guys, you could work in retail, right? Maybe in store operations. You could have picked a different industry, right? You could work in healthcare, pharmaceutical, maybe join the circus, and who knows what. So why did you guys each choose to spend your career working in the e-com space?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in on that if that's cool. I mean, I think it's just been so much growth. You look at probably our age and our demographics that we were exposed to this at probably the right time, in that we came out of school, and this is a high growth industry. It's where if you want to be on the cutting edge and leading edge of things, you want it to be. So at least for me, there was a lot of the traditional route. I went to Miami of Ohio. They have a big market research program. Would have been work for a major agency in research, and I actually did that for a bit with Crispin Porter. But you kind of go through this long cycle of career growth versus, hey, there's this digital thing, and you guys are all ignoring it. If I get there, I can really control my own growth. I can exponentially grow. Because I can bring things in like social media. Graduating in the 2000s and knowing what social media was, it sounds weird, but nobody thought it was a thing. Everyone would look at you and say, why would we care what people are saying about our brand on Facebook? And so you could be the most knowledgeable person in the room having only worked for 5 years. You knew more than people had been 20, 30 years in the industry. So I do think there's just this acceleration of, if you wanted to move quick in a career, really be a leader quickly. This was a thing that was growing just so fast that connecting yourself with it was good alignment.
Cool. Chase, I think you're about to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying I'm a nerd. I've always been drawn to computers and the internet ever since I was a kid. And I actually was scared of e-commerce before I kind of started the agency. And that was kind of quickly solved once I realized how awesome Shopify was. But I mean, nowadays I'm passionate about it because it is math. It comes down to the numbers, and like all of our efforts affect 3 main KPIs that we really care about. And it's really cool to see like actual results from the effort that you put in, like come out on the other end as like dollars made for the client. So that's like, it keeps us going.
What scared you? Was it just the complexity? Was it like how it works, or?
Well, I was like a WordPress guy before Shopify, so I don't know why I wasted my time with that. But I was always scared of like getting into the back end and screwing something up and like affecting someone's livelihood, like screwing up a line of code and like now they can't take payments, their website's down. Like that always scared me. But Shopify made it pretty easy for us to be able to test things without having to worry about that stuff happening to clients.
Cool. Shea, Joe, why are you guys in the space?
Yeah, I can take that one. So for me, I mean, just to be super candid with you, Dave, is I personally despise shopping in person. I always feel rushed. I feel like I'm getting sold to. I feel like I don't have enough time. I get nervous trying things on in the store. I don't like trying things on in the store. So for me, e-commerce has always been that bridge so that I can browse in my own time. I can, look and, price shop, and I can basically control my own time from a purchase experience perspective. And so, I started out in e-commerce about 11 years ago at American Express, an old school type credit card company that said, hey, we need to digitize our company and how we're going to do that. And so we actually launched an e-commerce company out of American Express 11 years ago. And it was a lot of trial and error, but I really saw the power of folks potentially shopping online and not wanting to go in store. And so there was a really big need for that. And I think, 10 plus years ago, nobody ever thought it would get to the point we did today. But now that we're all sort of tied to our homes and tied to our computer, it really gives us the control to sort of, go through the purchase experience in our own time and control that. So
Cool. How about you, Joe?
Well, my choice to be in this career path was chance. Don't really have a great story about being inspired one day. It was a close group of friends who stumbled onto a really important problem, and it happened to be in e-commerce. So that's really the unsexy reason I'm here. But why I stay here and why I think it's an exciting opportunity in e-commerce. When you look at the retail space, it's probably the best shopping experience as far as being able to see all your options and pick something you love. But it's a really inefficient distribution problem. You have 1,000 SKUs all sitting there and the customer only needs one. And so you have this problem where shopping is great in person, but distributing inventory is really inefficient in person.
Yeah.
And e-commerce has the exact inverse problem. You're sniping with inventory. You've got someone who needs this exact product and you quickly and efficiently get it to them, which is really exciting because that's the bedrock of shopping, getting someone the product. But the shopping experience broken. So that's why we're staying. Really excited to really drill into that shopping experience and find ways to make online shopping just like retail shopping. And when you can unlock that, you're onto a big problem.
Cool. So I know we've all seen over the last, 13, 14 months, a lot of changes in e-commerce. So I'm gonna take out the obvious answer to this question. So you guys are not allowed to answer more people are shopping online because they're stuck in their homes. Okay. So taking that one off the table, thinking about what you guys are doing with your companies and or with your clients, what are the biggest changes that you guys are seeing in the e-com space over the last 12 to 13 months?
I can kind of kick things off from my perspective. Obviously, for our business, it's been monumental because payment methods have to be on e-commerce sites in order for folks to, purchase goods, right? So what we've really seen is that merchants are starting to understand that consumers want choice and they have preferences. And if they go to certain websites and those choices and preferences, such as, specific forms of payment are not on there, they're going to go to their competitors or they're going to leave the site and they're not going to convert. And that's not going to help from a KPIs perspective. So, for us, it's been really gratifying to work with the largest and most strategic retailers, understand how they're looking to drive revenue, how they're looking to drive relevancy for consumers. And to like Chase's point, companies like Shopify have grown, insanely during this period because they want to make it really easy for consumers to shop and they want to make it really easy for merchants to stand up, web stores in a really seamless fashion and not have to, write, crazy amounts of code in the back end to support the, consumers' asks for those types of websites. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Chase, you had a comment.
Yeah, we're seeing merchants, older, more legacy brands realize that they need to invest in strategy and technology to compete with the younger, more nimble brands. Seeing a lot of brands diversify their marketing efforts because of just the insanity of the price for customer acquisition through the more traditional paid media channels like Facebook and Google. A really big investment as far as time and money from a lot of our clients in content as more of a long-term play. And just in general, like e-commerce being the forefront of all brand strategy and not a secondary or afterthought as it historically was with some more legacy brands.
I'm gonna plus one on that because that's very similar to what we're seeing is these old brands that are just pivoting. And sometimes it's not even the same teams that manage the old brands pivoting to e-commerce. It's like new investment companies that bought the old brand's logo and are bringing them e-commerce. So yeah, I think there's this obsession of owning your customer, where before you'd have a retail shop and hope to grab their attention as they're walking by. Now brands are doing so much more to actually own that relationship with the customer. And like another thing you said, Chase, that really stuck out to me is the content plays. There's all these brands that are now starting to just be present in more channels than ever before. And most of it's not even product related or advertising related content. They just want to be the company you come to, and they're always, top of mind in the consumer's mind. So when you're ready to buy, you come to them. And it's just a shift that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, I'd probably even further add on that. I mean, connected commerce is big. People, they want their brands everywhere. I think we're going to see more category ownership as well. You can't really go head to head with Amazon and everyone have an everything store. Yep. But the way I see that falling is just a lot of category ownership. So people understanding that I want to be top of mind when you think of, Dave running a marathon. There's those types of categories and niches that we see increasingly growing with kind of category kings coming out and realize they can be connected to their audience in so many places and just offer so much. So it's been a neat transition. Then on top of just the retail change, we've seen a lot in the B2B space. Traditionally, B2B sales is very much legacy, is built on legacy systems of Salesforce that is active and physically with people, of trade shows where you have people getting together from all around the world, and that's a big no-no last year and into this year, and who knows for how long. So a lot of that moving online and leveraging B2B marketplaces and just the digital space a lot more. And I think that's a space that was slowly transitioning. You saw Fair and Handshake. I mean, some real big acquisitions and investments, but all of a sudden it just got a shot in the arm, and it has to move a lot faster now.
Yeah, one of the things that I've kind of seen, and you guys mentioned it earlier, with respect to social, and whoever thought that we would care about this is, I'm sure a lot of us are as well. It's like whether I'm on Instagram or TikTok, and I don't personally spend a lot of time on TikTok, hypothetically speaking, of course, right? But we're seeing a lot more e-com in those spaces. So I'm wondering, when you think about it, we talk about these old legacy brands and whatnot. It used to be, hey, I just got to get the .com website up there. But now e-com, it's not just that, it's all these different social platforms. How do you guys think about that and help your clients think about that? So where do I need to be? If I'm a brand, do I just need a .com? Do I need to be on all these social platforms? Do I need to be in marketplaces? How broad do I need to be to really have a good e-com presence, or can I just focus back on that .com website? And maybe also, how's that differ if I'm small and starting up, or if I'm one of these big guys like locally, like an Express or a Pink, something like that?
Yeah, I'll tackle this for it, because this is a lot of the strategic stuff that we do with our brands when we're onboarding them and stuff. So long story short, if everything's important, nothing's important. So a shotgun approach to marketing is just a waste of money. It's a waste of resources too. For younger brands, it's find the channel that works for you and resonates with your customers, build systems and processes around that, and have it run as a founder, have it run without your input. And then you could possibly move on to diversifying those things. That just getting that one working without you is a very big lift. Now, when you talk about legacy brands, they've done that for pretty much every channel already. They've been in the game for a very long time. So when the newer channels come out that are sexy, top of mind, TikTok, for example, they can allocate resources to testing those channels a lot faster. It's why you see early adoption usually from like the smarter legacy brands on that kind of stuff. And I would argue that if you're a young brand and you're excited about a new technology, like, make sure you understand the commitment of resources into figuring that out, building a strategy and a process around it, and don't pull resources away from channels that are working for you, because you could sabotage your own growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I'm sure people have come to you, Chase, and said, here's a list of things I want to be on. And it's like, just being on a social channel isn't the best thing in the world.
people like, I think that a big mistake that a lot of brands make is they like are trying to they're trying to be everything and do too much, when it's like you haven't even maximized the ROI of this one channel that we already know works. Like, let's turn that thing up to 1 million until it stops returning as well as it is. Like, that's the easy way to make more money. Just double down on what works.
Yeah, get the machine rolling. I agree with you. I'd say that also on top of that, know how to treat the different channels. You know, the way you treat your Facebook channel is not the way you treat your TikTok channel. So you see some like really good brands that are authentically doing the channels right. They're not just saying, hey, here's my brand and copy paste across everywhere. So people need to be cognizant of that. And I think the greater question too, you know, headless is something all of us technology companies like to talk about. And it certainly is a future where you can be in places in unique ways, and you don't have to have just this monolithic site, whether it's Shopify or anything else that controls your, you know, you and who you are online. So that's certainly going to be the future.
Yeah, I think from Klarna's perspective, you know, how we're really viewing these channels is a lot of the merchant partners that we partner with want to understand, you know, how can we grow with Klarna? How can we send, you know, your consumer base to ours? How can we drive new customers? And so we actually have an entire marketing team that we partner with our merchants and understand, hey, do we want to, you know, place ads on social media? And if so, which channels are most effective, you know, from Facebook to Instagram? Do we want to put a blurb in that you can now offer Klarna and see what the return on ad spend is? And so far it's been pretty monumental in terms of the conversion there. But, you know, there are additional channels that we like to partner with merchants on in terms of, you know, email outreach. We have our shopping app that we can promote all these merchant partners in our .com space in a shop directory form, you know, doing PR announcements, partnering with influencers to really understand from the merchant's perspective, you know, which channels are working effectively for you and how can we help, you know, upsell and promote those channels in addition by, you know, partnering with a Klarna. So, you know, we really lean on our merchant partners to guide us, and we help support those initiatives.
All right. I have a kind of the pet peeve question here. Like, when you guys think about e-com and things that people aren't doing well, I'm curious what one of your biggest pet peeves is. And I'll give you an example. Like, for me, I hate these impersonal recommendation engines, right? Like, I'm on a website and I'm going to buy a pair of shorts. And by the way, I already bought a shirt the other day from the same exact merchant. And all of a sudden they say, gee, Dave, people who bought those shorts also bought this shirt. I'm like, yeah, but I bought the same shirt from you a week ago, and you should know that because I'm a customer and I bought it online, but you're recommending that I buy the same shirt I bought last week. And, you know, they're doing that because it's not personalized to me. They're just doing the people who bought this also bought that connection. So that always bugs me when I see that, because it just, you know, it screams at me that the brand doesn't know me or doesn't care to make that personalization recommendation, or that recommendation personalized to me. When you guys are out there shopping on e-com, what's the biggest pet peeve that you're just like, man, these guys, they just don't get it? Why can't they fix it? And if you want to call out a specific brand, feel free. If you want to just call out a functionality, feel free. But what just bugs you that you keep seeing and you're like, why don't they fix this?
Yeah, so Dave, the classic, like you buy a grill from Amazon and then they keep advertising grills to you, and you're like, you buy one grill for many years, you know.
Yeah.
I don't need one every week now.
Or they show me the same grill I just bought, but it's on sale for 20% less, and you're like, oh, so you're telling me I paid too much?
Right. No, those things are annoying. I think one of the things that I see a lot in like the Shopify space, which is interesting, is these over optimized sites where you're like, you come in and ask you if you want notifications, then it tries to get email and tells you how many people are buying everything, and you look at the site, and oftentimes they're sites that aren't really well trafficked or don't have a lot of sales, and you just say, like, you got to kind of chill out, you know, let people come in, experience the site. I know that we want to engage with the site in different ways and get those conversions, but the over-engineered ones that just kind of throw a bunch at you as soon as you land on the page, to me, that's just a personal kind of, I know what they're going for, but it's a little too much.
That's something that we have a lot of conversations about during working with our clients when we're doing rebuilds, for sure. It's like, there's people like to buy things, but they don't like to be sold. And there's ways to improve average order value or retargeting efforts and like do exactly what Chris just pointed out, but in a way that feels authentic and it is within the customer journey. It feels natural. And it just takes thinking about it and doing it the right way. And I guess to point out what Dave, like what annoys me about the internet is shortcuts. There's an app for that, like is my least favorite, thought process because it's usually done terribly. And it leads to a bad user experience, which leads to lower conversion rates, which leads to less money.
Yeah, and I think to piggyback off that point, Chase, if you're not going to download the app, make it really easy to shop on mobile. It's very hard to shop on mobile. They're not optimized for the size of the screen. You have to enter multiple form fields, the same information. Trying to enter your card details in the checkout is a complete nightmare. If we're not gonna drive to download the app, let's make the mobile experience a lot easier to get through because it's very challenging.
Shea, I thought you were going to say brands that don't offer Klarna as Afterpay was the biggest thing, but congrats on not doing the obvious plug. I'll just do it for you.
Appreciate it.
Joe, how about you?
What I'd add to this, I think this is a bit, what do the kids say, meta, if you're going to talk about something that's about you, but the return space, what we see a lot with brands is that they penalize customers if they do want to return. And if you think about the problem with that, there's obviously the problem to the customer, right? Like it's not the customer's fault that the product didn't fit or they didn't like it, so they just want to find something they like. But if you think about the consequence to a brand, when a brand is charging fees to a customer on the return policy, go into the customer's mind the moment before they click add to cart, or at least check out. They hover, they think, they second guess, they say, what if this doesn't work? And they go to the return policy page and they say, what's going to happen to me if this doesn't work? And I read this laundry list of legal jargon that says, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. By the way, it's going to cost you $20. And customers bow out. And so what brands don't realize is that they're actually harming themselves by charging for returns in this digital shopping experience because customers are just not confident that your product's going to work, and you penalize me if I get it wrong. So I'm out and I'll find somebody else that does it better. Yeah. So it's,
Cool. All right, I'm going to ask you guys another question. I'm going to take an obvious potential answer out of the equation. So you're not allowed to answer Amazon on this one. Tell me a brand or a website that you guys think is doing it really well. Like they are just knocking it out of the park on the whole experience. Everything from the site experience to the UI to the ease of returns. Like you mentioned, Joe, great payment options. Like they're just kicking butt. Who have you guys seen that's just, like if we wanted to look and like, hey, go to this website and just check out somebody who's really nailing it. Who do you guys recommend?
I mean, obviously all of our clients.
Softball Chase.
Yeah, but we have a running list internally of brands, we playfully refer to them as like the D2C darlings. So the ones that you see kind of in the news space of the world that we live in, doing it well would be like, the Smiths or the Allbirds. These sites blend brand and experience in a way that is just amazing to kind of walk through and shop from. It really hits the nail on the head of that. Like I can buy from these people, but I'm not being sold.
I'm going to shout out. Oh, sorry. I'm going to shout out a Klarna client, actually. Good American by Khloe Kardashian. Their website does a number of things well. One, they have alternative payment options, which is great. But the thing I love about their site that is unique, and they're really one of maybe 5 I've ever seen do this, is that they take product photography from multiple different models. So they have a slim model wearing all of their products on their site. They have an average size model wearing all the products on their site. They have a plus size model wearing all the products on their site. So you as a shopper can go and actually flip the site to look closest to you and then begin shopping from there. And I think it's thoughtful. It obviously is going to help boost confidence and then ideally boost conversion as well. So a very sharp strategy.
Well, and that's the thing, Joe, when you think about buying, and this is one of the things that like guys, we don't think about a lot, right? An XL is an XL. But there's a brand I work with in town. Some of you guys might know Mive, and they're doing something similar. But a woman who's a size 8 is not the same as another woman who's a size 8. Or I have this problem with my wife. I'll see a dress online. I'm like, hey, hon, that'll look great on you. And she's like, Dave, you're an idiot. That model is 6'2". It'll look like crap on me. I'm like, oh, sorry. And so it's so different, especially in women's apparel, of like, will it look good or not? And to your point, now you're saying, okay, maybe I'm not going to buy that because the return policy stinks and I'm not sure how it's going to fit. And that model doesn't look like me. So that's pretty cool what they're doing to like just at least take that one factor out to say, okay, her body type is my body type. At least I think it'll look good. Now I feel a little more confident in that purchase. Shea, Chris, how about you guys? Who do you guys like to look to? Who do you think is doing it really well?
For me, I'll lean into my golf obsession and say that TaylorMade Golf is really both a Klarna client as well as just a merchant that's doing it right. They have really cool customization tools and recommendation engines on the website. The UX and UI is fantastic. They also have a really cool program that we worked with them on a couple of years ago, where similar to how you upgrade your iPhone via Verizon every couple of years, you can upgrade your golf clubs every couple of years for a nominal monthly fee. So making it really easy for consumers to buy, making golf clubs, which are typically, seen really expensive in a more affordable way, but then just the customization element and their sort of directive to, consumer choice is really awesome.
Do they offer any guarantees on the improvement in your game, Shea?
Unfortunately, no guarantees to date. No.
Okay. Chris, how about you?
Well, there's a lot of sites. I personally like the sites where, identify the brand and keep you coming back just to read whatever the newest and latest is. But most recently, I saw, in the sneaker space, there's the whole drop approach, and Adidas came out with a Tally shoe, which is based on a South Park character.
Yeah,
I think it dropped on 420, and the idea was you had to have access to this. You had to prepay for the shoe, download an app, and then a certain number of the people who did this would actually get the product. And it's just impressive, I mean, in any space when you can say, hey, I'm going to make a limited run, it's going to be oversold the minute I announce it, and I can actually get people immersed in the brand and doing things because they want my product so much. So I think it's a really interesting way to connect with your users.
It's interesting, Chris, because I appreciate that. I think about how all of us as consumers, I have different perspectives and experiences. I went to buy a pair of Kobe's that were released by Nike a couple months ago, and that whole process you described, I thought it was so crazy because not only did I have to register for the drop that was about to happen a week later, I had to download the Nike sneaker app. And then when I downloaded the Nike sneaker app, I just got in line. And then I waited in line for about 45 minutes after the time that the drop happened for Nike to just give me a notice. Thanks for waiting. Sorry, we're sold out. And I was like, this is just a giant game because I talked to a bunch of folks, nobody got in. And then instantly you see the shoes up on StockX and other areas, $200-300 pair of shoes now selling for $600-700. Yeah. So I was like, that was just a bunch of, smoke and mirrors to make me get excited and think about it. Like, I got really frustrated by that whole process.
But it's exclusive, right? I mean, they build the exclusivity into the entire process of like.
So you're saying I'm not on the list. Like if I'm going to the club, right? I'm not getting in.
It's wild.
There's a whole secondary thing about all that stuff, and it's the shop bot. It's like to stop bots from buying the product, but it doesn't stop assholes from buying the product.
Yeah. Yep. Well, they stopped one, Chase. So, hey, I'm gonna call out a friend of mine who's on the line here, Christy. I hope you don't mind me doing so. If you can unmute yourself, you popped in there and you said Target, and I know that's sort of one of these kind of like big mainstream, big box places that we're all familiar with. But what do you love about Target?
So what I really love about Target is that the whole experience is low friction or frictionless, right? So I do get personalized recommendations because I do shop online often. I'm a red card holder, so it's very competitive with Amazon, right? So I get what I want in that Amazon time, and sometimes at a little better quality than Amazon. and a little faster because their choices aren't as wide as Amazon, right? Sometimes when I'm looking for something, I'm not exactly sure what I want, but I also don't want 30,000 choices, right? The returns policy, I really like how an online return can go back to the store. It's very seamless. It's just the same as if you took a register tape into the store. They can look up your transactions on your regular credit card or even on your red card. And what I found often is if you are sending the return back, right, an online return back, they pump you through a questionnaire that's only a couple questions, but they're really seeing if the return is relevant. So in one scenario I can think of, there was a lightning cord that I had ordered. It came and the box was damaged, and then the cord was actually damaged. So wrote that it was damaged. They had one to me the very next day and told me just to throw away the other one, right? They didn't need anything more from me than that. And then I had bought some clothes for my daughter, right? And just the same way you were talking about sizes earlier, some things were too small, some things were spot on, and some things didn't fit. When I went to process that online return, they decided that it wasn't relevant. And this was last summer. So, you know, some of the COVID restrictions had already been lifted. They decided that the return, even though it was about $100 worth of merchandise, was not relevant for me to ship back. And they encouraged me to just go ahead and donate it or give it to someone else. And I was shocked, right? Because that was $100 worth of merchandise. It's not like I was returning a $5 shirt and it wasn't worth the shipping, right? They also do shipping, free shipping back and forth. So substitutions, when you do the drive up, you can pick up things in the store, you can drive up. They don't do substitutions. If it's not in stock, it's just not in stock, and they still have that delivery time, but you know that up front. And honestly, I appreciate that because I've gotten some very random substitutions from other places, even when I've asked for no substitutions. So I just feel like the engagement with them is very clear. Their expectations are very clear. It is very clear, but it's also a very positive experience.
Yeah, I'll tell you, one other thing, Christy, that I love about that, and thank you for sharing,
sure,
is I love how they've integrated their gift cards into their mobile. And I'll tell you, man, I literally right here, man, I got this is sitting on my desk, right? I got 4 Target gift cards, right? Every time you go in, they give you a $5 gift card.
Exactly.
I'm one of those guys, no matter what, I go shopping in a store and I leave my gift cards at home.
Same.
Well, all the gift cards are in your mobile app.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, we knew you had a gift card. You didn't even know you had one. And they're just applying to the purchase and make it super easy and convenient for me. So I think that's another thing that they do really well. And I haven't seen that in a lot of other retailers. And
you can do everything from your phone, right? So at the register, you can pop your QR code up or your barcode up and it'll scan it and it does everything. So it's very fast and very frictionless.
Yeah.
Target couldn't have paid for a better ad than the last 2 minutes we just got. That was fantastic. Dave saying, by the way.
Hey, Joe, they paid Christy $100, so they got their money's worth. Yeah. Hey, so I want to tell you guys that, I asked you about cool things. There's a really cool thing that I saw recently, a e-com company called Obsess. And they're putting all kinds of cool stuff with augmented reality, virtual reality. You can shop underwater, you can have live streams, concerts, live events going on the site while you're shopping for something else. I mean, I see these guys do really, really cool stuff. And, when I go to a regular website now, I'm like, all right, this is kind of boring. It's just a, product image and a product detail page and so forth. I'm curious, what are you guys seeing in the future of e-commerce that has you excited? What's the next great evolution or capability that's going to get us super excited and say we're on some website oh my God, I got to tell my friends about this, or I just got to check this thing out. What's coming next in the world of e-com?
Well, I think the kind of wall between the physical and the digital world continues to kind of crumble. And I think that's the interesting thing where it's not, I think retailers will think about more of a holistic strategy rather than an e-com strategy and a store strategy.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that a bit with how people treat their stores, whether it's an extension of their online or online's an extension of their store. But increasingly, in the physical world, everyone talks about experiential and that being a hot thing. It's more so digital. I mean, you can do so much now where it kind of melds together physical and digital environments. And then the sky's kind of the limit. Like you can be shopping and see things in life and buy them. You could go to a store and try and not have to walk around with a bunch of bags full of stuff. And those are just easy examples. I mean, the sky is really the limit as far as how those things meld together. And I think the future of e-commerce, it's not really e-commerce, it's just retail. It's just, hey, retail is digital, physical, it's both things, and they're well connected rather than they're these separate bifurcated worlds.
Yeah, it's interesting, Chris. Nike in their New York store is doing something really cool, like what you described. They have this kind of an augmented reality mountain climbing adventure, and you're mountain climbing and you're using your phone and you're scanning QR codes and you see different wildlife all of a sudden shows up. And when you reach the summit, they know if you're a Nike Rewards member, and you get like a free swag bag at the end of it. And so but you're in the store doing all this stuff, shopping, but you're climbing this mountain at the same time. And just like you said, kind of blending those two worlds together, just making it more fun, to shop. It's not just digital and it's not just physical.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a different perspective here and say, while the lines are blurring between traditional retail and e-commerce, it is also still staying the same. These cool experiences, augmented reality, placing things within your home, like from a smartphone, isn't going to supersede kind of the basics that still exist in every retail business, which is product market fit and having a good offer that customers actually want. I think that people try to they jump at these cool new tactics without having the foundation in place. And, that's kind of the only thing I wanted to point out is just because you can produce these extremely unique experiences, if no one wants your product, you just wasted a lot of money.
Yeah, true.
Totally true.
Shea, Joe, what do you guys think?
I would, this might not be super groundbreaking, but I do think it's where the future of e-commerce is going. Finding more innovative ways to get products in customers' hands. And what I mean by that is being able to touch fabrics, see shoes, and there's different carnations of this where it might be, like a showroom that just holds inventory for you to pick, and then ultimately your order gets placed online. Or something like a try before you buy program, where brands are actually shipping more product out to you before you pay, and you ultimately shop in the comfort of your own home and send the product back that you don't want. And I think we're getting close enough with shipping costs and a lot of the efficiencies on the logistics side where it really starts to make sense. And if you think from a customer's perspective, you're getting more product to experiment with and try to fall in love with before you're just looking at some stale image on a screen and making a guess.
Mm-hmm.
I know I said earlier we weren't going to compliment Amazon or use them as an example, but Columbus, I don't know if everybody knows, is a test market right now for something called the Amazon Treasure Truck. If everybody's seen that, so you can sign up for a tweet and they'll say, hey, the treasure truck is at Easton today. The treasure truck is at Polaris. And it's just a truck and it's packed with one product and it's about half the price that you would buy it online. And so it's just, you're getting a great deal and you're getting to see something. It's just, to your point, Joe, it's just a different way. And it's actually given Amazon an in-person interaction that's one of the biggest things that they were missing. Chase, you and I were talking about that on your webcast that we recorded. That's a big thing Amazon's missing. Well, they're trying to do something about that. And it's just, again, a cool way to put something in their hands, real cheap, and you don't have to worry about the return because you can see it and feel it and touch it.
I had no idea about the Amazon truck. That's fascinating.
Yeah. Shea, how about you?
I'll go off a little bit of a different tangent as well. I think Tesla's doing a lot of cool things to bring, the digital world to your, automotive experience. And so, Teslas now are, self-diagnosing themselves and automatically ordering parts in real time, from the factory via your car. You can also, go through the Netflix experience when you're getting your car charged. So just bringing a lot of these digital and e-commerce experiences into your, everyday driving motive is pretty interesting as well. So I think they're bridging a lot of gaps there and really pushing the needle to bring the incumbent, older types of automotive companies to get to their level. So
cool. All right, I'm going to ask another question, or I'm going to take 4 answers off the table, or I'll share. You know, the question is going to be, what is your best advice to retail brands? And number 1, hire Electric Eye to help you with your Shopify site, implement Klarna for pay, Loop for returns, and make sure your products are available on the F13 marketplace. So now that we have the commercials out of the way, whether you're a small brand, big brand, you know, designer, student, entrepreneur, whatever, you know, if I were to ask you guys, you know, what's your number 1 piece of advice to be successful in the e-commerce space? You know, what's the most important takeaway that you share with your clients and that you would want people to think about?
I can kind of kick it off. I mean, the dumb answer is, you know, listen to your customers, but, you know, taking that to another step is running research, running sort of quantitative and qualitative research around, you know, what product are we in market with today? How are we going to grow? What do our customers want? Why do they want it? Really running sort of effective research to determine, you know, how we as a merchant can be relevant to our consumer, stay relevant to our consumer, and then continue to grow and keep that customer engaged with that merchant. So I think a lot of merchants do the research element really well, and then I think a lot of the merchants that I talk to don't even do it at all, which is pretty surprising. So I'd say, you know, stay really close to your customer base and then listen to and work with third parties to really understand, you know, how do we stay relevant there.
You know, Shea, that's interesting, because that reminds me of an old story that I heard from an old executive at Express, and it's like, the way I would describe what you just said is, know who your customer is versus who you want your customer to be. Right. You know, I was talking to this person from Express, and we're like, well, they thought their customer was this, like, you know, mid-20s woman who was, you know, she's working hard, climbing the corporate ladder, and then she's going out to the club right after work. So she's got to have this really cool outfit that works at work, but it also works at the club. And, you know, long story short, what they actually found out is that their actual market was these, like, mid-40s to late 50s moms who were trying to recapture their life in the 20s and, like, pretending they were still going out to the clubs. And so, no, it's not just who you want your customer to be, but really know who they actually are.
Yeah, great point.
I'll jump in here. I think something that we talk about with almost everybody that kind of comes through the door is that building kind of a content machine within their business, from startups to even $1 million brands that we consult with. Like, this is a kind of a running pattern that it is, content was almost thought of an afterthought. And the longer it takes you to kind of build that literal systemized processed machine to produce the content for your brand, the harder it is to do, especially when there's more cooks in the kitchen later on in your business life cycle. I think as soon as you can, figure out what the secret sauce to producing content is that your customers resonate with, and systemize and productize it out to just have it run. Like, that is something that will really truly create just infinite, like, wealth for you within your business if you can figure that out.
Cool.
Very similar to, yeah, +1. I think the biggest temptation is to move online and immediately start telling everybody what you do. We sell leggings, 20% off, 30% off, whatever. But I think focusing on why you do what you do is what the secret sauce can be online and e-commerce. We don't sell leggings, we help you run marathons, right? And now your content strategy has a different layer to it. You're not talking about the seams and the discounts and all of this boring things that customers don't care about. You're talking about helping them achieve something they want. And so I think the why is felt through the digital world on your website and your ad creative and your content.
Yeah, it's the features versus benefits argument. Like, the benefits are going to always outweigh the features when you're talking about truly marketing a product.
Yeah,
that's right.
So Shea, next time you see me running into Albany, I think I'm going to have some leggings, because it's going to help me out, right? So look out for that.
The meggings, yeah.
Right, there you go. Chris, how about you? What's your best?
Yeah, so I think if Shea helps you with the product market fit, then Chase has the content strategy, and Joe has the why, answers the why. I'd say those are all what you really need to do foundationally, but then it's about consistency. So, you know, you can put out a ton of content in a bunch of different areas, but if you're not consistent, you start to confuse people. I think answering the why really does help that. It kind of always has to bounce back off of Why are we doing what we're doing? What are the benefits? And can we be consistent about how we communicate those, to our audience? It's very important.
Cool. Appreciate it, guys. Hey, that's the entire list of questions that I came up with. So we've got an option here. We have 8 minutes on the calendar that we can give back to everybody. Or if anybody in the audience wants to unmute and ask these guys a question, or guys, if you guys have a question you want to ask each other, fire away. We certainly don't have to use the 8 minutes, but we've got the opportunity if anybody is interested. It looks like Tony's going to chime in.
Yeah, I've got a question, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot here at all, but with Joe and Shea here on the line, I was just curious if you had a hot take on the Returnly acquisition by a firm.
Yeah. We thanks, Tony. We actually just spoke about this before we got on the line. So we said what a nice synergy it would be to align two Columbus, digitally focused companies together. So, I mean, from my perspective, I think there's always been a partnership need from Klarna's perspective to partner with the Loops of the world to really, close the loop in terms of the post-purchase. I think, I'm not on the M&A team, but it would be super interesting to combine forces in that perspective. So I think it's a smart move.
So I mean, is the move to extend additional, is that just another way of extending credit, extending the credit platform? Is that the acquisition's power, I guess, for a firm?
Yeah, I don't know if Joe can answer that question more effectively than I can. My assumption would be they would bake the Returnly proposition into their consumer app for Klarna. Like our consumer app is a big piece on the post-purchase. We make it really easy for consumers to create returns and communicate to customer service through our app. So my assumption would be that a firm would bake that into their consumer app to fulfill that. But Joe would probably know better than me.
Just have a prediction. I think if you look at what a firm does really well, they do, buy now, pay later. And I think what you see with the returns experience, you have this opportunity to try now and pay later, and returns helps facilitate that. So I would venture to guess that we'll see very soon in a firm and Returnly try before you buy program roll out on the heels of their credit product and their returns infrastructure. But I have to say, given that Returnly is such a big competitor, 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 3. And when we see Returnly start to change from a returns platform into a payments platform, what we usually see is the roadmap slow down, core aspects of your business change. And so I think what we will see is a very strong credit offering coming out of this acquisition. I'm interested to see what happens to the return side of their product.
Thanks for that. I know it's kind of an unfair question to pop on you guys, so I appreciate it.
It's all good, Tony. We were actually talking about that before the webinar started, so good question.
Fantastic.
Anybody else have a question for the panel?
Yeah, I got a question regarding payments and the transaction. So when you go to an online store and you check out, you typically see like you want to pay with Shop Pay or Google Pay or PayPal. And obviously it's all by credit card, but to make it faster, they've added these, they're trying to be one click from Amazon. So if you take out Amazon and Target and Best Buy and these big guys, all these other stores that are out there, typically on Shopify platforms or Magento, what do you guys see as the future for quick checkout? If maybe we're not doing buy now, pay later, I just want to buy it on my credit card, but I want it to be fast. And so now you have Shop Pay and all these, and even Amazon Pay on some of these stores. What do you guys see as far as that being more consolidated, or do you see these shops putting even more buttons on there as there's more of these options out there?
I see Shop Pay pulling ahead because Shopify has such just a big stranglehold on the market for how that stuff goes. Long story short, no one's going to build a competing product that isn't like a named player in the space, because it is so hard to do that. The legalities of holding and tokening credit card information is just it's not even worth dealing with that monstrosity. So I would say Shopify will probably pull ahead. We actually have experimented with some of this stuff, pulling out some of the buttons, see how that affects conversion rates. It's honestly, it comes down to a case-by-case basis and who the customer is for the store. That was kind of like a backwards answer, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I agree. Okay.
we're hearing a lot on the shop pay performance that it's the preferred conversion rates are up. It's like 25% of purchases, some ridiculous number already. So I plus one that I think shop pay is going to appear as the front runner, at least for Shopify merchants.
Cool. Good question, Stuart. Thanks. All right, we got a couple minutes left. If everyone wants to chime in, otherwise we will call it a day.
I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Chase. So Chase, Shea, Chris, Joe, thank you guys so much for spending some time with us. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. I thought it was a pretty cool conversation. I learned something new every time I talk to each one of you guys. So I really appreciate you guys sharing your expertise and your insights, and we'll look forward to catching up in person soon. So hope everybody has a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you all again on the next episode of TechLife Live, Retail, Retech, Reinvent. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.